The Federal Trade Commission has launched an investigation into social media giant Facebook. That after the possible misuse of the personal information of as many as 50 million Facebook users. There is also growing concern involving a Facebook app that has been collecting call and data histories of some users. Charlene Aaron has the story.
Facebook is being rocked by claims that your privacy and personal data are up for grabs. The Federal Trade Commission is now investigating the social media giant following a week of privacy scandals, including whether the company engaged in unfair acts that caused substantial injury to consumers. 37 state attorneys general are also seeking answers on how Facebook monitored what app developers did with data collected on Facebook users and whether Facebook had safeguards to prevent misuse. The state attorney of Cook County in Illinois has filed suit against Facebook and Cambridge Analytica for consumer fraud.
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened.
Cambridge Analytica, a political data mining firm, is accused of lifting data from some 50 million Facebook users to influence voters in the 2016 elections.
Our responsibility now is to make sure that this doesn't happen again.
The scandal has exposed the lax safeguards at Facebook, app developers allegedly taking advantage of a lack of privacy protections to snag personal data from tens of millions of Facebook users and use that info for politics.
Billions of users are starting to discover what can actually be done with data that seems somewhat innocuous, like baby pictures and, likes of articles that they read somewhere on the internet.
Monday, Facebook was hit by another controversy after revelations that the social media network has been storing tons of contact information of Android users. The company acknowledges that in 2015, it began uploading call and text logs from phones running Google's Android system through its Messenger app and later through Facebook Lite. The fallout involving Facebook has many, including Apple's Tim Cook, calling for new privacy laws. But some say they don't see a plan from Facebook.
What I heard was a set of aspirations and a desire to earn back the trust of its users. What's problematic about that is that Facebook really hasn't changed its business model since its inception, which is it harvests the data of its users and it sells that data to advertisers, or in this case, to let an academic researcher in England use data which he in turn sold to Cambridge Analytica.
Meanwhile, after word of the FTC investigation, Facebook's stock has plummeted by more than $70 billion. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Here's a look at some of the other headlines we're following in the CBN newsroom. The FBI is tracking the delivery of suspicious packages left at military and intelligence facilities in Washington, D.C. There were about a half dozen packages sent through the mail, and they all contained explosive components. No one was hurt. Each package has been collected for further analysis. GOP governors from more than a dozen states are backing the Trump administration in its lawsuit over California's sanctuary cities. The White House filed the lawsuit to undo policies that protect illegal immigrants. The lawsuit says 3 California state laws undermine national immigration laws. The Justice Department says the laws are unconstitutional. Civil rights icon Linda Brown has died. Brown was at the center of the landmark Brown versus the Board of Education case that ended segregation in public schools. The case went before the Supreme Court in 1954. Brown died Sunday at the age of 75. And you can find these and other stories at cbnnews.com. President Donald Trump ordered 60 Russian diplomats to leave the U.S. The White House said they were all spies, according to the Associated Press. The U.S. says it's the largest expulsion of Russian spies in American history. The U.S. also closed the consulate of Russia in Seattle. U.S. leaders considered it a counterintelligence threat.
By limiting the ability of Russia to spy on Americans and conduct covert activities that threaten America's national security.
More than 20 Western countries have expelled more than 135 Russians. That includes nearly 24 expelled by the UK. The nations are punishing Russia for its alleged poisoning of a former Russian spy and his daughter in Great Britain. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has only been in place for a few months now, but Republicans are already looking ahead to Phase 2 of tax reform. Abigail Robertson brings us more from Washington.
Just months until the 2018 midterms, Republicans hope to score more points with voters on lowering taxes. The strategy could force Democrats into some tough votes, like making the popular individual tax cuts permanent.
We hope to get a support from our Democrat friends because one of the pushbacks that we heard from the Democrats is that these tax reforms, if they were so good, then why didn't we make them permanent? We've got no problem with that.
Individual tax cuts are set to expire in 10 years. Budget rules force Republicans to make them temporary in order to pass the bill with no Democrat support. Now, the GOP sees an opportunity in trying to make them permanent ahead of the midterm elections. If the measure doesn't receive the necessary votes from Democrats, it puts them on the record against the cuts.
So I don't know that you could call it support, but at least acknowledgement from some of the Democrat counterparts that tax reform is working in many places in our country.
GOP lawmakers have signaled they might release parts of Phase 2 of the tax plan on April 15th. Congressman Mark Walker, a former pastor, tells CBN News he thinks this second phase will consist of smaller adjustment bills.
One of those specifically is an act that our office is leading called the Universal Charitable Giving Act that allows families and people that aren't itemizing to deduct whether it's their local church, or local shelters, local communities. We hope that's included in the next review.
Walker says although most people give out of the goodness of their heart, this bill makes sure the new tax plan won't negatively affect donations to churches and nonprofits.
We want to make sure that those gifts are protected.
But Walker says he does not expect another attempt at repealing the Johnson Amendment through tax reform.
We believe and hear that it is picking up some energy. At some point, we would like to attach it to something this year. It did not make tax reform, you are correct, but it still is something at the forefront of many of us who have a conservative worldview and also are believers.
Lawmakers believe they could begin voting on parts of Phase 2 as early as April. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Coming up, bringing hope to Haiti. CBN News shows you the ministry bringing hope to the nation. Disaster and economic hardship keep Haiti at the bottom of countries in the West, yet hope still remains on the island nation. CBN's Eric Rosales shows us one man working to bring the gospel to Haiti and empower its people.
It's been more than 8 years since the country of Haiti was hit by a 7.0 magnitude earthquake. And despite billions in humanitarian aid, corruption has forced much of the country to continue to live in deplorable conditions. And while organizations work to treat the consequences of extreme poverty, they haven't provided solutions to reduce Haiti's dependence on foreign aid. One man's hope to change that by building builders.
It's one of the most difficult, frustrating, rewarding things I've ever done. And I think for me, because of my personality, the frustration is I want things to move faster and stuff, and I love building things, but we have to invest in the people first.
Sherman Balch, a commercial contractor, first came here just months after the massive quake as part of a mission by Cornerstone Fellowship Church in Livermore, California. He and his wife Cheryl were struck by how poor construction standards contributed to so much of the devastation.
Oh, my husband being a builder, we thought, let's go, help rebuild. But then it became evident that there were many Haitians who were not working, didn't have hope in their daily lives, so why not teach them how to build properly?
That desire, combined with help from their local church, helped create Extolo, which means raise up in Latin. They started by using Haitian workers to help build several orphanages.
We have to build a construction industry and invest in the workers, and we use what's the apprenticeship approach of learning by doing and earning and learning at the same time.
And I've been looking for jobs and here, but I didn't have any skill. But I've been looking for someone to teach me how to do things.
As part of the orphanage construction crew, Alto Jean Bautiste learned basic masonry, carpentry, electrical, and plumbing skills. The Balches are quick to add this isn't just about learning a trade, it's also learning about God and living a life like Jesus.
A great leader is not the person who is good at everything.
Part of the training includes leadership classes for the Haitian apprentices. During our visit, Cornerstone pastor Steve Matson talked about living a life of integrity and respect. We then traveled to one of the orphanages. After a quick flight to Laganoff, a small island about 50 miles from Port-au-Prince, and a white-knuckle landing on a dirt runway, we saw the Jesus Home for Children Village, providing a new life for more than 150 orphans.
Extolo has built a beautiful village for the kids. It's more than I could ask for. God has answered our prayers.
We're inside the orphanage, and you can see behind me this patio. This is where the kids have their Sunday service. And around the courtyard are 10 homes. Inside each home, anywhere from 10 to 15 orphans. The kids also have a home mom. Madame Soliette doesn't want to make this an institution. She wants to be able to have the kids interact with their home mom and also each other, this way that they'll grow in spirit. You may not realize it, but more than half of the people here live on less than $2 a day. Some 70% are underemployed or simply have no job. Most can't afford even basic housing, so parents often give up their kids. To help keep families together, Madame Soliette opens her doors daily to feed some 300 neighborhood kids and also allows them to attend school.
She always says, I want to raise these kids up to love the Lord and not adopt them out of our country, but be the change in our country, to be the leaders and the people that this country needs, the next generation, to change things around.
Leaders like John Bautiste, who's currently building his own home, helping neighbors with repairs and providing for his family.
But most of my family practicing a lot of voodoo. And when I met Extolo, and every morning people start to pray, talking about God and giving people Bible.
More importantly, he's accepted the Lord and now leads Bible classes. His dream is to run his own construction company, create buildings with universal standards to withstand any future quakes, and provide a good living for fellow Haitians.
We care about them, we love them, Jesus loves us, he's blessed us, so we in turn want to be a blessing to the wonderful people of Haiti. And they're so appreciative. It's so fun.
Just as Jesus built disciples, Extolo officials are building the next generation of Christian leaders and builders to bring positive change to the country of Haiti. Eric Rosales, CBN News.
Still ahead, a 3-year-old girl is given 3 years to live. Watch how she beat the odds through the power of prayer. Thanks for staying with us. Hollywood producers Mark Burnett and Roma Downey are praising God for the recovery of their son who was hospitalized over the weekend. The actress took to Instagram to ask for prayers, writing, "Someone I love is ill." In 2014, the now 20-year-old underwent brain tumor surgery. It is unclear what landed him in the hospital this weekend. Yesterday, Downey posted again, thanking everyone who prayed for him, writing, "Thanking God for answered prayers for our family and to everyone who prayed. We are grateful." The couple told People yesterday that he is now back home recovering. That's wonderful. When an American family adopted an infant from China, they gave her love and desperately needed medical care. But at the tender age of 3 years old, Michaelin was given only a few years to live. She suffered from hepatitis B and her organs were failing. But then something amazing happened.
When I looked at Michaelin's picture, I knew I was her mom because I didn't see any imperfections in her. I looked straight into those eyes of hers, and from the moment I saw her and looked at those eyes, I knew that I was her mom because mothers don't see imperfections in their children.
Janelle McElroy and her husband Rance had 2 sons when they adopted Michaelin, a baby who had been abandoned at a Chinese orphanage.
I knew from the moment I saw her, I knew that she was the one that God intended for me.
When they brought Michaelin home at 18 months, she needed surgery for her cleft palate. She was malnourished and her development was delayed. She also tested positive for hepatitis B, but showed no symptoms as Janelle and the family brought her back to health.
By the time she was 2.5 years old, Michaelin was happy and healthy, and she was just as normal as any other 2.5-year-old could be.
When Michaelin was 3, she started showing symptoms.
I noticed that she was having some swelling, particularly around her eyes, and I noticed that she had really dark, concentrated urine.
Doctors confirmed Janelle's fears. It was hepatitis B. Michaelin's liver and kidneys were failing. Too young to undergo transplants, she was sent home with only 3 years to live.
It was very hard. I remember I cried out to the Lord on many occasions and said, God, why? Why would you give her to me and now turn around and take her away? Why would you bring her all the way here, let her have lived through all this and have overcome all of this to turn around now and let her die? Why? I don't understand.
The McElroys called on family and friends to spread the word and pray for Michaelin's healing. In the meantime, doctors prescribed an antiviral medication to help manage Michaelin's condition. But Janelle says she didn't fill the prescription because something told her to hold off.
I did at that time feel like it was God telling me, almost peace be still. Just wait a minute.
At the time, it was Easter season, and Janelle's family kept with their tradition of going to a Passion of Christ play by students at the University of Mobile. Michaelin's grandmother, Dr. Kathy Shepard, says this year the play took on a whole new meaning.
And I just looked up, and the young man that was playing Jesus looked out into the audience, and what I saw was those crystal blue eyes, and I saw Jesus. He spoke to my heart. I just felt a contact with Jesus and the Holy Spirit saying to me, Kathy, I see you. I've got this. And it washed all over me. He's got this.
She was that confident when she spoke to me. There was no, I think I heard, I feel I've heard. It was, I heard, I know. God told me this baby is going to be fine.
Janelle held on to that promise as people from all over the world prayed. Over the next several months, tests showed Michaelin's enzymes started dropping.
And I remember talking to my nephrologist. He said, I don't even know how to explain this. And I said, well, I do. It's a miracle, because she was so sick. And now she's so healthy.
Michaelin continued to get better. And today, records show Michaelin's liver and kidneys are fully healed. She's also progressing through the stages of recovery from hepatitis B.
Just so thankful. And I mean, I've seen Jesus, I've seen his work. He does miracles today. There was nothing the medical profession had done to turn her around. It was a touch from Jesus himself.
I do have that complete family I always wanted. Michaelin is sassy. She is prissy. She is sweet. How old are you?
5.
And where are you from?
China.
And where were you? Were you in Mommy's tummy?
No.
Where were you?
Heart.
In the heart? I see what God did for us, and it makes his resurrection even more paramount in my eyes and in my heart, because I see all that he went through, but that he overcame. And I know he did because I have evidence, tangible evidence in my little girl, that I really feel that without God's grace and mercy, she would not be here.
Wow, what a wonderful testimony. If you're a Christian, you have resurrection power living on the inside of you. What a sweet little girl. It's wonderful to see what God has done in her life. We'll be right back with more of CBN News Watch. Stay with us. Hollywood shines the light on the power of faith when the film The Miracle Season hits the big screen next week. It's the inspiring true story of an Iowa high school girls volleyball team banding together after the loss of its star player, Caroline Found. Caroline's father not only suffers the loss of his daughter to tragedy, but he also loses his wife to illness not long afterwards. And CBN News has this exclusive first look at a scene from the film.
Glad you called.
I think it's time for me to express some long overdue thanks. I've been so angry.
I know.
But to have had the life that I did with Ellen, in those 17 years, Caroline, I know how blessed I am.
You are blessed, pal.
I can't blame him for wanting her back. She's a keeper.
The Miracle Season is scheduled for release in American theaters next Friday, April 6th. And you can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care about most at cbnnews.com. And tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here. You can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.